those of you that need the encouragement, perhaps to travel. Let it be known that I had no desire to fly on an airplane right now, and I haven't for the last year and a half. Really, really, really didn't want to. In fact, I was actually contemplating how to take a 13-plus-hour drive here to Minnesota with Rumi. So I was contemplating an insane solution to getting here. In the end, I chose to fly via airplane. And I'm so glad I did, because it was way easier on us as a whole. Obviously, we got here faster. And it was a really blessed experience. So just a couple of hours before, and this is last Sunday, I didn't see you all last Monday. Last Sunday, we had our first witchery class of the season. And in that class, we go over how to energetically protect yourself, and also, while protecting yourself, remain in the energy you want. So for me, it was an optimistic bubble of love and joy, and so grateful to have this opportunity to come here to Minnesota, to see my best friend, to live in her house, to possibly get to witness a birth, our kids get to play. So I was just like feeling so great and happy. And I thought, nothing's going to change that. If I have to wear a mask, I have to wear a mask. I'm not going to die. It's not going to be the end of the world. And I'm not going to, be belligerent about it. We'll just see how it goes. So after protecting myself energetically and, like I said, kind of remaining in my bubble, it was a really smooth experience. So we did not wear masks, not even once, not in the airport, not through security, not onto the plane, not on the plane, not off the plane, not at all. And everybody was so nice to us. We got our baggage checked for free. The kids had a really great time talking to the flight attendant, who was happy to share with them things about the plane that, she had learned and thought would be fun for the girls. So it was great. It was really amazing. And, I don't know, of course, what will happen on the way home, because I do have to get home. But I'm expecting the best. I'm expecting the best. And like I said, if it doesn't happen that way, then I'll just have to be okay with it and take that as a lesson. But it was a really powerful lesson in, I think, just holding your energy and being optimistic and creating your own reality. I, of course, can't take full credit for that, because Rumi was with me. He was on me the whole time in a carrier. And he is a master. He is the master at creating his own reality. He did that for his birth. He created craziness, a wonderful craziness, in a setting, the hospital, where we have come to expect a certain reality, right? It looks this way, it feels this way. And he doesn't work that way. He seems to have no idea that certain things are supposed to happen a certain way in certain places. So I don't doubt at all that he was actually mastering the situation for me. And like I said, it was like we were in our own bubble. People were pleasant and nice. Everybody else was wearing them. So, that's their business. But like 100% of people, other than us, they were all wearing them, and they seemed fine with that. And we were fine with what we were doing. And there was no conflict. It was almost like people didn't even notice. I'm sure they did. But, I said to my kids, if anybody says anything or, has strong feelings about that, then we will do it, because we want to get there. And we've determined that our priorities are, getting there for this trip. So it was really amazing. It was really, really amazing. And like I said, I don't know. I'm not even thinking about the trip home, because actually I don't know when I'm going home yet. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. And I'm sure it'll be another learning experience, hopefully, all about a gentle wisdom coming through from the universe. So anyway, if that gives you encouragement at all, then so be it. I know for me, I was just really freaked out to travel, and that wasn't healthy either. I think there are limits, there are boundaries. Like, I'm not injecting myself with anything ever. And if it comes to that, I guess I won't ever fly again. But, some considerations had to be weighed. And being here with my best friend and helping her as I can was very important to me. So I think just having that attitude worked out. It worked out to just stay in that bubble and be grateful. So there you have it. Cool. Hello, Kate and Kathleen and Valerie. Hello. Moose, Ruby, all kinds of people here that I may or may not know, but you are so welcome. And yeah, if you're continuing to get on, feel free to post where you're from, and also any questions or topics. I never know what's going to come up. So if you haven't been on a Midwife Monday, I don't even know what to say. I don't have a structure here. We just kind of run with it and see what comes out. And we're going to choose a card. We almost always have some kind of card reading. And this deck is really cool. The Light Seers Tarot is something I've been into. And just to repeat myself for a moment, this is Margo's deck, but we have the same deck. How great is that? So I didn't bring any of my cards. I thought I would just borrow hers. Now, maybe they have different energy, right? Because they're not mine. I am using them with permission, but they're not mine. And I think there probably is something to that, but she's close enough to me that I feel like we're going to get a reading that feels just right for some of us, maybe all of us. I don't know. The way it goes is you just pick if this is for you or not, right? We just kind of intuit if it's meant for us, and you might have a different interpretation. That's totally cool. So deep breath, grounding ourselves a little bit on this beautiful Monday here. Can't see the weather here, but it's a little cloudy out. It's probably going to rain, and that's great. The landscape here is gorgeous right now. The lake is heavenly. The trees are amazing. And we got a nice long walk in this morning, Rumi and I. So it's great if it rains. Okay. So let's ask our tarot deck what is needed right now. And this one wants to jump out. Let's see. Ooh, the Seven of Swords. So swords, air, intellect perhaps, or mind chatter, or possibly communication. And what is this guy doing? Looks like a guy to me. Got this bird kind of squawking there in the front, feathers flying. Feathers, I think, are really fun, like talisman, like lucky charm kind of thing to find for all the reasons. These look like ravens, but I don't know. He's got a knife. I don't know. Is he on ice or something? I mean, there's a bird's nest. He has feathers in his backpack, gathering them, but a couple of them have fallen out. And the sun, or maybe it's the moon, I can't quite tell. Kind of looks like the moon. We are in for a full moon tomorrow. I don't know what the full moon is in, actually. I'm spacing on that, so feel free to comment. Hello, Kim and Amber and Paige. Awesome. And Katie. Yeah, so anyway, full moon. I don't know, creation comes to mind with the full moon. It's kind of stealthing about, it looks like, trying to stow away some possibly lucky feathers, but they're falling out. I don't know. I'm not getting like a whole lot of intuitive information with this one. I don't think I've ever drawn this one. And in the back, there's kind of like a city landscape. So perhaps he's in the country, full moon. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. and 7 feathers. So there's 3 birds and 4 feathers. I don't know. I'm gonna look in the book because I'm not getting it today. Maybe you are. In Pisces. Oh, fun. And I guess I did know that because Margo is a Pisces sun. And I think I said to her, the full moon is in your sign. Ooh, okay. Again, take it all with a grain of salt. I do too. Books are awesome, but sometimes they're not really what is meant or what is felt, and that is fine. A deception or betrayal, taking only what's needed. The universe bearing witness to true intentions. Being strategic, being grateful for the resources you have. Moving silently and quickly. So it says traditionally, and this isn't a traditional deck art wise, but whatever. Traditionally, this card warns us that we must be on the lookout for deception, thievery, and betrayal. While we can sometimes find ourselves the victim of someone else's deceit, it's also a nudge to act in alignment with our own highest morality. Be sure you are being honest with yourself about the nature of your reality right now. Sometimes we pretend that everything is okay or that we're doing the best we can, even when we're not. So, avoidance of responsibilities, take only what's needed. Move forward with the lightness of conscience to guide you. I don't know. It's kind of an intense card, no? Yeah, Jill. I mean, not that I only want to sort of embody the positive cards. I mean, this one feels darker than normal. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure for myself personally, but of course, we do have other things like you're saying in the world. I'm definitely not in the middle of my normal responsibilities. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm avoiding them or not avoiding them. I'm not even home. So maybe I'm taking this too literally because of course we have, self-deception in whatever ways. Maybe we're not being honest with ourselves. I mean, self-betrayal. Mm. I'm a little out of world events, to be honest. Like I'm really in a bubble here, which is actually feeling really good. So I sort of don't know what's going on. But being grateful for the resources you have, I mean, that feels meaningful. And that is something I've felt, just about being here for the last week. I think travel anywhere for me always reminds me of how good I have it, and not that it's not great here. It's perfectly wonderful here. And I've really been trying to stay present, as I said in the newsletter, to just life here. It's kind of like I live here right now, rather than like uh missing my family. I do miss them, but if I like go there, then I can't be present here, and I really want to be present here. I want to be present so that I can enjoy this visit. I want to be present for Margo and this birth that is pending. um but anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Just the gratefulness, I guess. Well, love and integrity. um yeah, so anyway, the mantra is I act from a place of love and morality, and the universe witnesses my honest intentions. So I can hear that too. I mean, I feel like there's definitely, um, an increased need for transparency and honesty right now in all of the ways. So with ourselves and, going out in the world for sure. So I don't know. Take it or leave it. It's yours to decide about. But that is the draw for today, as weird as that kind of may feel. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me later. or not, who knows? Who knows? Again, this is not my deck. So I'm not handing this off to Margo, but I'll have to share with her which one was chosen. Maybe it'll mean something to her. I think decks totally have a personality. Ooh, this one wants to spill all over. Yeah, and I feel like they know who their owners are, Feels very Harry Potter to me. Magical creatures know who their owners are, but thank you, deck. Much love and gratefulness to this deck for showing up with us today and teaching us something new. That was cool. All right, so I'm getting resituated here. I would love to hear your questions, your comments, your topics. Otherwise, let's see, what did I have on my mind today, birth-wise? Well, a little bit of this is repetitive if you're on our newsletter, but no apologies really, because what ends up going in my Sunday newsletter is just what's out. So I was saying that to Margo yesterday, I can have a grand plan about like, oh, I want to talk about this thing, or like so-and-so wants me to, talk about their thing. And it's not that I'm unwilling, but when I sit down at the computer, I have to just do what comes out. And it's usually, just what's on my mind, what's on my heart. And I sort of don't expect in a lot of ways that it always means anything to anyone else, but it doesn't matter because it has to feel in integrity with where I'm at. So the repetitive part would be what I was talking about in the newsletter yesterday, which is it's really an honor to be with Margo in general, but also to witness her in this role of midwife, because we've been working together a really long time, how many? 12 years almost. But if you didn't know, the way we started together, and we're coming up on our friendiversary, as we like to say, that's November 1st. We started as teacher and student. And we've had so many discussions over the years about how that just so naturally played out. It so naturally flowed into more of a partnership. And then, this sort of strange, I think it was strange for me, maybe not for Margo, strange separation when she became a midwife in her own right, for her to move far away. So she moved from Arizona to Minnesota. I was still in Arizona. Obviously, we continued to work together on indie birth every single day, but I've never had the opportunity to see her in the midwife role, which sounds ridiculous because, it's been this many years. But I feel really just honored. And, I feel like it's such a beautiful and simple, poignant thing to witness. So we're all about witnessing pregnant women, right? That's what most of us do. And I think that's beautiful. And we've honed our senses to be able to do that. Many of us have partners, we're used to holding space for partners or our children. And it dawned on me how infrequent it is for one midwife to physically hold space for another in person. So I think Margo and I do a good job of supporting each other from afar. But when we've been in births together the last, 5-6 years, she's always come to my home and helped me with my clients. And that's been so beautiful. Many of them she already knew. So it was like the natural choice. But here we are, like the tables have turned, and I'm getting this chance to sit with her and witness her and hold space for her in this role. And yeah, it's just really humbling. And it reminds me just how important I think this role is. And, that's not an ego thing. That's not like I think I'm so important, or I even think, she is so important as a midwife herself, but that we have respect for this role. And even when we ourselves do it, we can step back and have respect for this role and see it through a new lens almost. So again, that's where I'm feeling humbled and like I'm the one learning in a sense, right? We're always learning, but to have that opportunity to see through this lens, I'm not the primary midwife. You know, it's a really cool place to be actually. I haven't been the assistant in so long. So I'm really enjoying that perspective of like, you know, this is your thing and this is your client and this is your relationship. And I just am witnessing you in all of that and the daily journey that that is for a midwife. You know, I mean, many of you may not even know if you don't live with one or, you know, I don't know, maybe your best friend isn't a midwife, but just that perspective of like, oh yeah, the midwife is also going through a journey on this birth and it's not about her, but if you're holding space for her, it is about her, right? So I can do both simultaneously in this case. I don't only have to, you know, pay attention to the pregnant woman. In fact, my attention is probably better where it's been asked to be put. So holding space for Margo as she journeys through the midwife role of anticipating a birth. You know, it's just not something you get to see very often. It's like you're either in it or maybe this is all just blab because you don't actually know what I'm talking about, which is totally fine. So, yeah, and thank you, Melinda. Yeah, exactly. And what was bringing that up for me, um, yeah, this idea of midwives being rock stars. And I think, yeah, that's a problem. Sorry, my leg's falling asleep here. Weird angle. Yeah, I think it's potentially a problem because, well, of course, midwives aren't rock stars. We're just normal human beings. And so, you know, students in particular kind of wanting to elevate that role, whether it's in their teachers or their peers or even themselves, um, really changes it. And I guess what I'm trying to say too is when you have the privilege of witnessing a midwife in her life, you realize how all encompassing this is. So the rock star caricature, really, for lack of a better word, comes from the birth setting, right? Uh, whatever, being witness, the midwife is witness to this amazing thing. Therefore, you know, somehow she gets elevated. And then occasionally we do help, right? We might have to do something, and then there's feelings around that. But I'm talking about just like the everyday. That is what we don't often talk about or see. And, you know, I would say from my perspective, because I don't know what Margot's feeling, um, it's it's hard. It's draining in a certain way if you're not careful to really take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Um, it can be exhausting, you know, to be on call and just always have this feeling, right? That like this is going to happen soon. So it really is just such a fascinating lifestyle. And again, I guess I'm just reflecting on how it actually looks since I'm not the one that's living it. You know, I have my phone off at night. I'm living the life here. I asked Margo to just wake me up, just come down and wake me up. You know, my phone doesn't need to ring. So it's really been fun. It's really been fun. And I guess I just love her so much. And I'm so, I mean, proud isn't the word because it's not mine to be proud of, but like I'm so happy with the midwife that she has become. And I know how much work it is. That's all. I know how much work it is. And it's not necessarily glamorous or amazing. It's a daily thing, it's a daily walk. And so I'm honoring her, I think, today for that. Just that's what's coming out. That's what's coming out. So I guess if you know a midwife, then this is your opportunity perhaps to, not make her the hero. She doesn't have to be the center of it. I don't think any of us are asking for that, but just a simple, I'm grateful for you because I know it wasn't just my birth you attended. I know you thought about me a whole lot before that, and probably too much, right? So it's humbling. It's humbling. And that's the part of being a midwife. That's one part of being a midwife. That's only one part that you cannot know until you're in it. So, I don't say that in any other way than that's the experience. That's the walk. And as much as you study and think you're ready, time will tell. You may or may not be, but this is the part that gets most people to quit, is just the daily thing. So anyway, that's kind of my blab for today. Just being in it and seeing how that looks for someone else. Yeah, Alexa. So you're right. I did mention that yesterday. Was that just yesterday? Um, right. So I was talking about this egocentric idea of midwifery. And I guess it is something I think a lot about because we are, and by we, I mean Margo and I, right, with the Indie Birth Midwifery School. Oh, look, it's 3:33. It's actually not. It's 2:33 here, but my computer says 3:33. So good time. Yeah, so it's constantly on my mind because we're wanting more women to be midwives. So we are saying there is this role to be filled, and each of us will fill it differently because we are different people. We are different women. We have different personalities. We have different experiences and history. So there's this idea of like it being so special, for each of us. And I think that's true to a certain extent, but not getting overly wrapped up into like my version of midwifery, because I think that's easy to do too. And it becomes so egocentric. It becomes about you and what you need and how you do it. And it's really hard to, I don't know, maybe make that last. So the flip side of that is like, actually, none of this is super important if you back up your view, So if you have the small view, then we're all separate. We're all uniquely different and we're all just precious little snowflakes, right? And then the more you back it up, is midwifery even important, I, I don't know. I mean, I think we have an experience here on earth, and for some of us, it's to witness birth. And for all of us, it was to be born. But that's just the way it works here. So ultimately, what are we really talking about if we're not in that space of like ego self-importance? We are in a space of love, of unconditional love, and no separation between any of us. So I know, that's kind of esoteric, but you asked, so there it is. I think ultimately we can back ourselves up almost always and be in that space of nothing actually matters, just love, right? So that will help us make our choices. That would help guide the way we think we want to practice midwifery. That would help guide the kind of people that come into our lives, rather than, yeah, this is all about me. It needs to be the certain way. Just love, just not identifying with the personalities that we have and, the physical bodies that we are in this life, and kind of trying to blend that as best as we can. I mean, that helps me. That might not help you, but that really gives me perspective on, like the nitty gritty and when things get rocky sometimes with people, and, we're all just um, kind of like a big disaster of personalities clashing sometimes, right? And even when I was talking about the masks and the airplane, Truly, this was the perspective I was trying to hold for myself and my children, which is like, I'm just a person here, I'm just in a body. We all are. And it was helpful to even have some humor about it, like looking around at all the people in masks and just thinking, oh, wow, like this is kind of funny. Like, this is what humans are doing right now. I'm also a human. I'm not choosing to do this, but these humans that are doing this, they're really focused on their physical body as the only thing they have, right? Because God forbid it die, even though we're all going to die. That's essentially what's happening. I mean, why else would people walk around not wanting to breathe? Because they are just so over concerned with their physicalness on this plane. So that helped me get perspective. That might sound crazy. Um, but it helped me just feel loving and non-judgmental as much as possible and humorous. Like, what a funny game we're all playing. Look at us down there, all acting our parts. And that one calls herself a midwife, and that one does this, and those two argue, and it's like silly. Just be love. Just separate yourself from your identity for just a hair of a second. Just a hair of a second, realize that you're not what you think you are. You're not who you think you are, and laugh at it because it's actually ridiculous. So, yeah, maybe I'm just sleep deprived. That's the honest truth. Rumi has been sleeping really horribly. So I'm not at the top of my game with sleep. Um, But on the positive side, like I kind of shared earlier, I'm not having to do all my normal home responsibilities. So, shout out to my amazing husband, Jason, and my 7 kids at home they're totally picking up the slack this week. They are chicken feeding and dog feeding and grass mowing. I don't normally mow the grass, but it's been a really nice break to be relieved of those things and put my focus elsewhere. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, let's just laugh at it, and let's just laugh at ourselves and how important all of this is at a given moment, and how fleeting it is, how this thing called time just kind of keeps going and nobody can make any sense of it. I mean, can you? I've been here a week and I don't even know what that means. I might be here another week, and just staying present, it has helped me, release that number of days, what it means, time. So anyway, I'm really blessed because I'm living a life at the moment where I can do that. I think it's definitely harder to do when, you have the things to do and um, more responsibilities going on. So lucky me, lucky me, lucky me. I'm here in Minnesota. Thank you. This is my coyote ring. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, coyote is my spirit animal. So this was my gift to myself when Rumi was born. So nice, huh? So nice of me to give myself a gift since I worked so hard. And the shape of this ring is funny. It's like a strange shape. And sort of when I look at it, and because it was for Rumi's birth, I think it kind of reminds me of his head or something. Like, what was your head doing in there? It's sort of this odd shape, but yeah, it is really beautiful. Thank you. Hmm. Well, any other birth related topics? I would love to hear one or two before we go here. We've got probably 15 more minutes left. Trying to think what's been coming up in my world. Hello, Margo. You missed a whole monologue about you, or maybe you heard it. Is it a crystal? It's turquoise. It's just sterling. I think it's sterling silver, and that's turquoise. Yeah, and I can't remember right now who made it. It's someone on Instagram. Maybe Margo remembers. Used to be, I mean, maybe we follow them. I don't remember. Yeah, well, Margo, you can come down here in your basement and say hello to people if you want, but I don't want to put any pressure on you because I don't know what's going on up there. I'm probably in Kidville. Hmm. Other birth thoughts and birth questions. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm spacing out here later in the day. Any other thoughts or hmm, blood pressure? Yeah, Margo would be the one to talk about blood pressure and pregnancy, but it definitely has been a topic lately in a couple of contexts, at least for me, and I think a couple of people here, which is kind of fun. I don't think it naturally goes up in pregnancy, not for most people. So, yes, for some, of course, but I don't think naturally it does. And when I was a student, we were taught, and I guess, see what you think, but with blood volume expansion, that actually going down would make more physiological sense. So some women experience that like even lower blood pressure towards whatever 28, 30, 32 weeks. And then it might creep back up to baseline. But in those cases, it was probably low ish anyway, or just kind of stay there. So, it's definitely a challenge when women either come into pregnancy with high blood pressure or it starts to creep up at whatever point. And I don't have that personal experience like as the woman. I bet that's really disconcerting and nerve wracking. And, the medical model just freaks out usually. But I don't know that anyone has the answers as to why, because of course, we have the more pathological scenario. Everybody thinks, oh, she's developing preeclampsia. Is that my baby? Um, and, that's not always true. That's rarely true. But is it something to pay attention to? Probably. Probably. I wouldn't ignore it. And, there's all kinds of topics there: diet, nutrition, lifestyle, the unknown, hormonal reasons. I mean, why? Why would a pregnant woman's blood pressure start to go up? I mean, there's just so many possibilities there. So, again, we do want to rule out anything pathological, as in the woman is becoming ill. That is not good. But more times than not, at least in my experience, it doesn't mean that. And so you might have to rule that out with lab testing, for example. But it's maybe normal for that person or maybe normal for that pregnancy. However, I think there is an upper limit. And I don't even know what to base that on other than the information that's out there, perhaps, and the woman's own sense of her upper limit of normal. Because, of course, we're taught there are risks to the baby, there are risks to the placenta and the mom if the blood pressure were to get too high. But what is too high? It really, depends on all of these things. So I don't feel like just naming a number is helpful. But if someone is seeing a steady climb, then yeah, I think there is investigation needed and perhaps medical consultation. Is this woman going to choose to take medication? Um, and what is the upper limit, right? So to that woman, like, how high are you willing to go here before you'd feel better in a hospital with monitoring? And as the midwife, I ask myself the same question, what is my upper limit of normal? And, then what? So It is a tricky scenario because the people that it affects are usually later in pregnancy. So it is pretty rare for that to start happening early. I guess it can. But pregnancy induced hypertension, as it might be called, generally seems to appear a little bit later. So it can take women by surprise. It can really leave them guessing as to why. They may never know. It may happen in all of their pregnancies. It may only happen in one pregnancy. I mean, it's really just one of those things. So I think the job of midwives is to acknowledge when things are outside of completely normal and boring. And higher blood pressures are outside of that. So it doesn't mean we have only one way we deal. It doesn't mean we transport that care all of the time. But I think all of these conversations have to be had. And I wouldn't just kind of like assume it's going to be fine or, not take it seriously. Because obviously the body is trying to say something. Oh boy. Well, blood pressure is a big topic. I don't know how much more I'm going to say here, but knowing what's normal for someone outside of pregnancy is helpful. Most women, most people don't know what their blood pressure is unless it's been high. So I usually ask pregnant women when they come, for their first appointment, what is your normal blood pressure? 99% of the time, they say, I don't know. So we take it. If you take a blood pressure at 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, that's probably pretty close to the baseline. And again, in home birth midwifery care, the people I see, that's 95% of people, or maybe more, that will just stay in that low normal range. So by that, I mean, 98 over 68 or 100 over, 70. That is all pretty normal and low. And so we might repeat it every visit, we might not, but there are people that don't show any kind of change in blood pressure. They don't have any other signs or symptoms that might be concerning, and it's not an issue. For most women, again, in home birth midwifery care, it's not an issue. So sometimes it is. And so if someone is having symptoms, protein on the urine stick, or, vision that is weird, and headaches or extreme swelling or just not feeling good, these would all be very good reasons to catch up with what's going on there, not just with blood pressure, but with liver and kidney lab work. Because blood pressure isn't just this standalone piece. Our heart, our cardiovascular system, of course, is all connected to all of our organs. So that's the really simplistic version. If we do start to see an elevation, then there's lots of things to talk about, like I said. So not to repeat that, but nutrition, stress level. If it's a first pregnancy, it's tricky. It's even trickier because we don't quite know what is going on. Is this woman's normal response to pregnancy? I can think of one woman who experienced this in her first pregnancy, and we monitored it. We ordered lab work. She didn't seem to be ill in any kind of way, so we just kind of watched it, and she ended up having a pretty dysfunctional labor and resulted in a cesarean birth. And I wouldn't implicate the blood pressure. I'm just saying that it may have been a sign of something just being off with her pregnancy, with her placental flow. One thing that did come to be an actual fact is her placenta was really small. And if I remember, there was a kind of a crazy insertion, like way on the side of the placenta. And I feel like there was something else too. But my point being, it seemed like maybe her placenta wasn't feeding her baby as well as it could have. So maybe the rise in blood pressure was physiological for her and made sense, and to have artificially lowered it would have created additional problems. So sometimes you just don't know, and you don't know ever, or you don't know in hindsight, or you do know in hindsight. Yeah. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Again, normal, healthy women who are just out there doing their own prenatal care, probably aren't missing too much unless they have a history, but I'd hate to say that too. I think it's wise to possibly check in once or twice if you're doing your own care and that's all new to you, especially if it's your first pregnancy, and just get that reassurance that everything is normal. Super active babies, 33 weeks. Yeah, I enjoy a super active baby personally, Kate. Um, but I suppose it could feel a little much. My Cove was like that, and she has just continued to be that way. So she's 2. She walked at 9 months, which was really strange for my kids. She never stopped moving, but I didn't necessarily think it was a problem. Although funny, I went to like a massage therapist or it was maybe a chiropractor when I was pregnant with her. And I mentioned this, and while this woman was working on me, my body, I was pregnant with Cove, Cove did not stop moving. I mean, the massage lady, or I think she was a myofascial person, but anyway, she felt it the whole time. And she got all concerned. She's like, maybe your baby's hyperactive, kind of pathologizing it a little bit. And I was like, well, I mean, what's to do about that? But she's not. She's a perfectly normal child. She does like physical activity. She's very challenged by it. So there wasn't anything wrong. So I don't know. It's such a sign of health, really. So I guess there is possibly an extreme there, but I don't know. Talking to your baby, though, I would think that it would be helpful. Definitely communication and asking your baby if there's something that they need from you, or if they're just really happy to be in their physical body. I think that has been one of the hugest differences between my children in my own pregnancies. I just said it about Rumi. He's hanging out here, and I said to Margo, he's exactly like his pregnancy. He was just a little lump, and he still is an adorable little lump. He's 10 months old. He mostly just sits and plays very quietly. He's not, his personality isn't needing to go. So it comes down to that, I think, personality and maybe having been in a physical body before. I'm not quite sure. I think in his case, this is a new experience for him. I don't think he's been in a human body before, is my intuition on it. So he very slowly is like exploring what it needs to be in this body. Whereas maybe a super active fetus, super active baby has done this many times before. So I don't know, just some thoughts. All right, everybody. It was so nice hanging out with you. I don't know if I'll be home next week or if I'll still be here, but you'll wait, I'm sure, to see how it goes. And I'll either be here or I'll be home, one or the other. I have committed to Midwife Monday. It's been super fun so far. So nice to see you all here. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for your great questions. And I'll see you next week. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you soon. Now I have to figure out how to get out of here. Bye.